plaintiff, Terrence Searles, says the defendant is supposed to be his brother. But since their mother's death, he hasn't been acting like much of a brother. Terrence claims after their mother passed, the only thing the defendant cared about was getting their mother's van, and he's suing him today for breach of contract. Defendants John Searles and his wife Linda say they are embarrassed to be in court today. And after this case is over, John wants nothing to do with Terrence ever again. John claims before their mother's death, Terrence conned and moved her away from her only friends. And they're countersuing for harassment and attorney fees.
Start with you.
Well, Your Honor, this is my brother, supposed to be my brother, but brothers don't really do brothers the way he's done me in this situation. We've not done too bad until our passing of our mother, and then it's like he has no total respect or feelings towards her passing at all. He is...
Before that, you all did not have problems, particularly regarding money?
He's always come across as kind of being the upper class of the family. He's better than everybody else. And what?
How do you figure that?
Well, when he's around, you know, when we're all talking, whatever he has to show you and to say is really important. And then when you listen to what he has to say and show, and then when it's your turn to speak, he ignores you and doesn't listen to what you have to say, basically.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah.
So, but like I said, I'm embarrassed to even be here today. My mother would roll over in her grave right now if she knew what.
Let me get some background from you, and then we'll get into the specifics.
Yes, Your Honor. So. First, I'd like to start by saying my wife and I really didn't want to be here today. It's embarrassing. And I also want to say that when this is over, I don't ever want to see his face again. And I don't ever want him communicating with any of my family for what he's done to us.
If you'd have done what you said you were supposed to do, we wouldn't have been here today.
My mother's estate, and he locked me out of her house, and him and his wife went through everything. I got no opportunity to look at anything in the house.
Your Honor,
just because I was executor, no rule applies to him.
I've got a contract, the will, and everything.
Tell me what you're suing him about then.
Right, I have a will here, Your Honor, that shows that it was supposed to be, her assets were supposed to be sold and divided equally between us.
Just the two of you?
Just the two of us,
Let me
yes.
have it, please, Doyle. All right, and what has happened?
The defendant and I agreed he wanted the van. He's wanted the van from the get-go. The morning my mother passed, and I made him aware that mother had passed, his wife called, told him when he come home from work, he calls me. His first response is, well, I got the van.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Yes, it is true, and you know it is. That's all he's cared about.
Did the van come up?
No.
No, he didn't.
I was grieving over my mother.
No, I said, was it mentioned?
No.
How long after the passing of your mom did you mention it?
After he and his wife had the opportunity to go through all of that belongings and pull out what they wanted, then he made the offer, even though I was the executor, a contract. You take the van and I'll take the other stuff.
No.
Okay.
You was more than willing to come up. You didn't even come up before her passing.
Go ahead, sir. That's enough. I want to know about the van. And you say he began asking about that and what happened with it.
We come to an agreement. The estate was worth $16,000. The van was estimated value to be purchased by a dealership at $12,000. We both agreed that the contents was worth $4,000 in the house. So he agreed to pay me $4,000 and take the van, which would make the even distribution of the contents.
What he's not telling you is my mother, when I was up there and visiting her in November before she died in December, she had told me that she had approximately $12,000 to $14,000 worth of jewelry. He didn't find any of it. And I would like to give you a little bit of history on this. My mother was 80. And she was from a small town in southern Ohio. And even though she was 80, she still had friends that were classmates that they'd meet every month for luncheon. She'd always call and tell me what they did, what they talked about, loved it, was happy as could be. She told me that she did not want to move to Indiana. He went down there with his wife in their box truck, moved her to Indiana, away from her friends, away from her family, everything. She told me she was miserable every single day she was up there. She had no friends. She despised it.
That's a lie.
He had the guts to tell me that he put his life on hold for 7 years for our mother. He didn't put his life on hold for anyone. He still went camping.
All right, I'm not
trips.
going to let you do this. So let's get back to the assets.
And I also want to say that when this is over, I don't ever want to see his face again, and I don't ever want him communicating with any of my family.
If you'd have done what you said you were supposed to do, we wouldn't have been here today.
My mother's estate, and he locked me out of her house, and him and his wife went through everything.
Plaintiff Terrence Searles is suing his brother and his brother's wife, who say after today, they never want to see Terrence again.
Let's get back to the assets.
I took the contents, which we valued.
Got that part.
And he gave me $4,000 of the value of the van. We both agreed to that. We wrote up a contract. He signed it. His wife wrote me a check. They picked up the van, stopped in Southern Ohio, picked up his money that was a POD on my mother's account, $39,000. And he asked to post-date the check. And I have text messages to all this. So he could put that.
What happened with the check? It bounced?
He stopped payment on it
Okay,
when
let's
he got
see
to
it.
Florida.
So he stopped payment on a $4,000 check?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's why you're suing?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, sir. What do you want to tell me?
Well, when my wife and I left Florida to fly to Ohio for our daughter to bring us over, we left with a single agreement. Even though I was executor, he wrote that I would take the van, he'd take the belongings. After we arrived in Ohio at my daughter's house, knowing that the van was my transportation back, he decided to change the contract now, after I was already in Ohio and up here. Now you're signing the contract and now you're giving me $4,000. I'm not just giving you the van anymore.
No, that's not the truth.
Hold on.
You can look at the dates of when we flew up and when he did the second contract, and it was after we were in Ohio.
How much did the estate add up to? How
Well,
much did you determine it was worth?
I
which
couldn't
was your
because he
duty?
would not give me, he locked me out of the house. I never once got inside the house. He locked
Okay.
the house.
When you,
so have
when you
access.
showed
you
up
wa-
today to pick up the van, you said, I can't go in the house. I can't even look at the house.
That's because
and you
I've got
turned your
pictures,
back on it.
Honor, of everything that him and his wife.
Well, how are you going to go in and determine anything?
Knock you down.
So that's not funny. If he was
No.
too emotionally distraught to go
Yeah.
in the house, I can understand
My daughter
that.
took pictures that when I got there for the first time, they'd already destroyed the house and gone through everything.
I understand that. When my brother passed, I couldn't go in his bedroom for about a year. I'd go visit the house, but I couldn't go back in the bedroom where he suffered.
Yeah.
So let me get from you then what you think the value was or what you divided it based on. It was to be divided 50-50, right?
Well,
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Will says that. It ain't
Yeah.
no,
There
it's
was-
50-50. This says that. So the question becomes how much you thought that amounted to.
I would have thought about $12,000, but here's another will that my mother realized that she got conned by my brother.
What date is that will,
So
sir?
this will was dated September 17, 2010. She had it
Let's see
notarized,
it.
and the notary swore to her that it was legal and good. If you read that, she changed her mind and did not want him to have the house. And
Did she
wanted
say
to have-
50-50?
No. It says in there she no longer wants him to have the home, and she wants me to have the van. Now, he wouldn't recognize that because we were told that there weren't two witnesses on it, even though he knew that's her handwriting and was her wish.
I never seen the will. That's the
That's
first
why
I've
she
seen
didn't
it.
want you to see it.
All right, sir. So the second will you handed me.
Yes, sir.
Did you believe it was valid?
Yes, she had it notarized at the bank and signed it. That's
you
her
think
signature.
this was valid and
Yeah,
enforceable?
she believed it was valid, sir.
No, you.
Yes, I did.
And you don't understand that you need two witnesses when you have a will.
No, Your Honor. The notary told her that that was a good.
Why we have two on the first one?
Beg your pardon, sir?
Why do you have two signatures on the first will?
The first will was her original will that she did.
Right, so if you knew,
She did that at an
it's not
attorney's office.
valid, sir. It's unenforceable.
That's-
Have a good day.
you,
Judgment
Your
for the
Honor.
plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed.
Liars and cheaters never win.
Con man, liar. Con man, liar. You choke on all that jewelry and stuff that you stole from Mom. Go ahead and do
No
it.
jewelry.
There was
Yeah.
no
Yes,
jewelry.
it was.
Yeah.
You know it was.
How did you know?
You know it
You
was
never there.
dispersed.
She gave.
Never.
She gave me.
You know
Well,
she
I had to
dispersed
get my
it.
She gave me
mother.
$6,000 worth of jewelry and had Barbara hide it, and you made her.
Why didn't you take
Barbara
it?
show-
Why didn't you take
Because
it?
I didn't
She
want to take it
wasn't
while she was still
16.
living.
Right.
She said she wanted you to have it. She gave jewelry to everybody
I
else.
said I'd take it when
yeah,
she
you
passed away.
crybabies.
Right.
No.
Crybabies.
No.
Both of you.
Well, he wasn't anything in the
Yeah.
family
Oh,
anyway.
you've got no room to talk. You're the most inconsiderate person I've ever met.
That's right.
How many
You're the
times
one that
you
runs to the
there?
bedroom every time we come to visit and close yourself
What?
up in the bedroom until we left.
That's
so
why.
full of
That's
it.
why Mom wanted to move
No,
back home
you're
to
the
get
one
away
that
from
laid
She
on
me.
the
didn't
floor
want to
and-
go.
Mom
Said
wanted
get
me back
Daddy off her back.
away from
front of
you.
our daughters.
Alone. Idiot.
She wanted to
Really?
move back home to get away from you, trash.
Well, then why didn't she
You
go?
seen
She
where
couldn't.
lived?
Yeah.
She didn't want to go with you.